Yeah, we have a good crowd out here tonight. We anticipate that as the evening goes on out in Beaver Creek. I'm Chris Collins, and off to my right, those listening on the radio, yes, she's been here all season with us, the head coach of Wright State Women's Basketball, Katrina Merriweather. Well, Katrina, first of all, congratulations on win 20 this year.
Thank you.
And then also 12-2 in first place in the Horizon League, bouncing back from that tough loss at Green Bay a week ago Saturday. And your team came out, and they came out and played extremely well in the win over Northern Kentucky on Saturday. Maybe tell us a little bit about practices leading up to that. You know, after that loss, they were able to turn things around quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they came in really focused and concentrating on what we told them we needed to be better at. In the first couple plays in the game, we moved the ball around quite a bit and got it inside. And so we started off with some layups, and I think that just made everyone feel better because it kind of just haunts you a little bit of a poor shooting performance like that. And really, we're just all happy it's behind us, and we've had another game since then.
Well, what was it like? You talked about last week, you came back and you said you guys were immediately going to start focusing on your next opponent, Northern Kentucky. Well, obviously they did that. Now you got to look ahead. Yeah, the team's in first place, but you got a surging team from Youngstown State just a half a game behind. Green Bay, though, dropped another game over the weekend.
Well, we knew that Youngstown State was really good, and we, of course, went there first and had a double-digit loss, and that's been consistent in our league, that there's been a lot of double-digit losses on the road. So we're really excited to be at home for a couple of days, I'll tell you that. But I don't know. I think that what they realize is that shooting the way that we did at Green Bay is not consistent with what we've done all year. So we just try not to let it mean a whole lot and to stay really positive and encouraging. And we've got really good scores that we all have a lot of confidence in. And just trying to keep them up and making sure that they weren't rattled by that one game with all the other ones that we had played so well in.
You know, you look at it, you get an opportunity to get the ball inside, see the ball go in the basket early on. Obviously, that helped after it seemed like a lid was on the basket up at the Crest Center at Green Bay. It just seemed like all the shots were falling early for your team against Northern Kentucky in that big win Saturday.
Yeah, and they were. And I think that had a lot to do with going inside first and Tyler Frierson being ready to play. And then we put in Imani Partlow, and she does the same thing, makes a couple layups. And Tanisha Dixon does a great job of being a presence for us, rebounding, and then when we get it to her, she can finish too. And again, I say it all the time, they just take a lot of pride in being a three-headed monster at the five, and I think that really helped us. But we had a lot of good performances. Emily Vogelpool had 6 assists with 1 turnover. Obviously, Max scored 17 points, and Mikhail looked a lot more comfortable, even though she went out, at 16 minutes after she took a nasty fall. Simone was ready to go. Deja comes off the bench and gets 8 points and 8 rebounds in 17 minutes. You get quality minutes from literally all 11 kids, and we were able to play them double-digit minutes. So it was an honest team effort from top to bottom.
You could just feel the energy, see it on the sidelines, especially with your team. Then Mikhail Miller, goes down with that fall, and it got awfully quiet. You have an update on that? Is she going to be okay?
She's going to be fine. Okay. Again, she puts her body through a lot to play, and we always appreciate that. And she rested a little today. She didn't go full go, and hopefully she'll be healed up and feeling back to normal. But we didn't want to push it today and then her be sore tomorrow. We need everybody ready to go for Wednesday and Thursday before we play Friday.
As a coach, you said it's so satisfying, gratifying, obviously, to get the win, but having everybody involved, because that so helps, because now everybody's ready. When they get the call on the bench, you got to get in there. They're going to feel confident.
I think that's what it means more than anything. When you have 11 kids and Nia Sumter is out, she got poked in the eye in practice. I mean, that kid's had a rough year, and they had to we set her out. They were concerned that her retina was detached. Like, if for most people, you get poked in the eye, it turns a little red. For her, it's got to be a doctor's visit. So feel terrible for her, because I know how bad she wants to play and contribute. But nonetheless, the 11 that got in the game, I think that they're just dialed in. And what we've been telling them all years, it's going to take all 11 of you in order for us to get this done. And it shows such character for the ones that haven't been able to play a lot of minutes all year long to still be bought in this late in the season.
All right, 4 games remaining in the Horizon League regular season schedule. Got a half a game lead on Youngstown State. They come in this weekend along with Cleveland State. Obviously, your team now, you're focused. You've beaten Northern Kentucky, but now how do you follow that up? Because you well know things can change after this weekend.
Well, we were up double digits, close to 20 at Cleveland State, and then they brought it back and tied us up. So we have some really good film from that game to remind them that it doesn't matter. None of the games that you have played matter. The only thing that matters is the next one. So they're good. And so we're going to have to sit down and guard Cleveland State. And they pose a little bit of a matchup problem for us because where we are pretty big and girthy and tall at the 5, they have an undersized post that's very agile that can make a 12, 15-footer. Well, that has proven very difficult for us to defend when we've got our traditional 5 players in the game. So we've got some challenges ahead with Cleveland State that we don't allow us to look ahead to Youngstown State.
And that's what's part about it. We've talked about it all season long. The second time through the Horizon League schedule, when you play the team for the second time, doesn't matter on the road or even, at home, like in this case is against Cleveland State. It's about making, those subtle adjustments and to be able to get that into your game plan.
Absolutely. In that particular weekend, we didn't have Nia Sumter or Deja Evans. They were both out. So we didn't have an option to go small like we have done in the past. Whenever we have someone who's got an undersized, very agile 5 player, we usually just throw Deja in, and she does a great job defensively in the post, and she's also pretty tough to guard, too. So we have a plan. Well, that couldn't be the plan that weekend. And so we're really happy again that we're back at pretty much full strength, and it'll give us some options.
All right, up ahead is Cleveland State first. We talk about that first, but then again on the backside, everybody sees, Youngstown State and how well they're playing right now. They handed you one of your 2 losses this year, along with Green Bay. So I would imagine, your team realizes that and knows it, but they're not going to overlook, obviously, Cleveland State for the reasons that you had just mentioned. What do you feel from your team right now? I mean, it was a tough loss at Green Bay. You chalk that up as something you can draw from to make your team better. Then you come back and you play really well against Northern Kentucky as they head into the final 4 games.
It's really tough. It's tough not being Green Bay in this league because as much as we keep talking about our Green Bay game, I'm telling you that they didn't talk about their 18-point Wright State loss as much as we talk about the loss that we had at Green Bay. And it's tough, and we share that with our kids. When you have a perennial power like Green Bay that's been in first place for 19 straight years, 20 straight seasons, whatever it is, and trying to convince them to understand and believe every season, every team is one unto itself. So it doesn't matter what any other team, including us. We won a conference championship 2 years ago, too. It didn't make us the conference champions the next year. So what we really try to focus on is not paying a lot of attention to overall wins and losses and this, that, and the other. I had someone come up and ask me, like, man, what happened to you in the second half of Green Bay? And I said, man, the same thing that happened to Green Bay at our place.
Yeah.
But it's tough, because that is everyone's response is, shoot, you beat them once, just keep beating them. Well, we try.
It's not that easy.
And it's the same way that they came here, and I'm sure they thought they were going to beat us too, and they didn't. We handed them an 18-point loss, and I think that is something that our kids are having to tough through. And recognize that we're in first place, and we have been all year, the entire season. Someone actually tied us once and made us tie for first, but we've never been in second place. And so we have to carry ourselves as such, continue to work hard, and know that we're here and we belong, and it was earned and not given.
And to go on with that point, watching the game on Saturday early, you can see that on the sidelines, especially for the players who, transferred, sitting, waiting, sitting out this year, and just seeing that enthusiasm on the sideline. What do you and your assistants see this time of year? You're getting down the stretch, and it's that look in the eye of your players. I mean, what kind of feel do you get as far as their energy is concerned?
I'm telling you, it's the seniors.
Yep.
It's the seniors. Angel Baker's tired. Her season in high school would have ended, last week. We're talking about, hey, you got 4 to 10 more games left. And she's wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. She wants to be there, but she's tired. She's played a lot of minutes. She's had a long year, and she's fighting through for her teammates. And those seniors are the ones that are keeping everybody going, telling Mikhail, hey, we know you had a nasty fall, but you got to practice because we got stuff to do. And I think that that's what is going to keep this team going is those 3, and with the addition of Imani, who came to Wright State to win because she had not the last 4 years. The 4 of them are going to keep pushing us forward and just reminding everybody this time is special, so don't take it for granted.
And Emily Vogelpohl, you already mentioned her. You could just see the confidence out there and the leadership that she shows, for this team. With her, it's just all about winning.
Always. And that was from when she was watched her in high school to when we went and watched that class, and I came back and I said, she's the best one. And Simone Simmons was really athletic, and Mac was scoring a lot of points, but there was something about Emily being able to do everything and being that glue player, and it shows in her entire career. She's played the 1 through the 4. Any place we've ever needed her, asked her to do, last year was rebound more, so she rebounded more. Now it's play the point again and take care of the ball and distribute it, and she's doing that too. She's in the top 10 and assist to turnover ratio in the league. Like, it doesn't matter. Whatever you ask her to do, she will do it, and she's talented and capable enough to do that.
Coach Merriweather, we're going to take our first break right now, but I want to say thanks to the Spirit Unit, I should say, as well as the Pep Band from Wright State. They're here tonight, folks. Come on now. Tell us you're here. Come on. All right, along with the other folks who are here for the Katrina Merriweather Show. We'll be back with more, and we continue from Flyboys in Beaver Creek. This is Wright State University basketball.
The Horizon League's men's and women's basketball championships roll into Little Caesars Arena March 11th and 12th. Don't miss your chance to see the surviving 4 finalists of the Horizon League battle for an automatic berth in the NCAA tournament. $15 general admission and $25 2-day passes are on sale now. Don't miss out on the madness. Visit horizonleague.com or call 313-471-7575.
A lot of good friends out here also in Beaver Creek. You can join us. We'll be out here till 7 o'clock. Coach Merriweather will be here up until 6. Coach Nagy will be in talking about men's basketball, along with Jim Brown will be with us from 6 to 6:30. And a special treat tonight. Normally we have some of the players from the men's team in here from 6:30 to 7, but tonight you get to meet the head coaches of baseball and softball here tonight. We'll be talking with them between 6:30 and 7 here at Flyboys in Beaver Creek. Coach Merriweather, we mentioned as we went to that last break about the Spirit Unit being here tonight, as well as members of the Pep Band. And you told me during the break, you said how great it is to be able to play at home. That being part of it, the students being part of the atmosphere, and also being a part of this team, and also other things that go along with it from your perspective as a team. Why is it so important here to be here, for obvious reasons?
Well, to have the cheer and dance and Pep Band there, and for our kids, we do something different this year. We kind of stop after the game and we wave to the fans and thank them for coming, because it's really a big deal. And sometimes you take it for granted. And then we wanted to make sure that we did not do that this year. We acknowledged all the people that come out to watch us play. And one of the biggest differences for us, when people always come to the home games, they say, you're really struggling for some personality on your team. And of course, that's a huge joke, because anybody who's seen our team, you see how active they are. And those are our kids that are redshirting, the ones that are sitting out either from transfer rules or for other reasons. And I think that is a huge difference for us. Those kids can't travel with you, so they're not on the road. So all that energy, all the cheering that you see and that you hear from those players, we don't have that. On the road. The same with our fans and the band and the cheerleaders and dance, and it makes a difference.
Well, it stuck out to me. Like I said, when I got to the game Saturday and I saw that energy that they had at the end of the bench, it's almost like they wanted to take the T-shirts, get into the uniform, get out there themselves. And when the players come back, let's say you had a stretch, maybe a dry spell, whatever, which you didn't really have against Northern Kentucky, because maybe that was part of it, because they knew that they had their back and they were cheering for them, and they brought all that energy that they do in practice also.
And they are energetic. Shamari Hill in particular, she missed a couple practices earlier in the year, and we could tell that the energy was down in practice. And I said, well, I'll be darned. It's because Shamari's not here. And she is loud and entertaining. And we call her Tank is her nickname. And she is one. I'm telling you, she's going to be hard for people to handle here in the future. But it means a lot for those kids to be bought in too, because they cannot play in a game, but they believe that their role as practice players, being on the scout team, helping us prepare and get ready, is part of why we're able to be successful. If we had to run our 12 that can play as the scout team, well, they'd be pretty exhausted by now. Mm-hmm. So if it wasn't for those kids, we would be in a different spot too. What's
it like for them, especially those who, transfer in, they have to sit out? It's got to be difficult because they're highly competitive student athletes.
It's very tough. But again, we try to do a good job, not just our coaches, but our support staff as well. We have our academic advisor, Megan, who makes sure that they have extra study table, keeps them busy. You have Pat, our strength and conditioning coach, that works out with them when we're on the road. road. And then Emily with our trainer, she again gives them things to do when we're gone. So we try to keep them as busy as possible when we're gone, and then just remind them how important they are and that they do have a role that helps us be successful. And we're fortunate that they buy into that and they believe it.
You talk about Megan Watson and how they structure, having to go to class, getting their grades, and that's something so important. We touched on that a little bit last week. Let's talk a little bit more about that. Take us through the process, what it's like for a student athlete, let's say somebody new coming in here as they continue on with their 4 years and head toward their degree.
During the recruiting process, we talk a lot about trying to be as organized as possible. We talk about time management. At the end of the day, they're going to be good enough basketball players. We do a good enough job of evaluating their talent. It's whether or not you can handle the rigor of basketball and school, and then everything that your social life is going to throw at you. Again, you're out of your parents' house for the first time. You don't have a curfew, per se, except the night before games, because we give them one. But any other time during the year, they can do whatever they want. And you got to have some discipline, and then you've got your seniors who they know how to hang out and when to hang out for how long. And then the freshmen try to do it and they come in dragging the next day. And they may miss a class, which is why we have that accountability stuff. You don't get to make those mistakes without being held responsible. So when we are in that process, we talk to them, and I specifically say, if you handle your business, I'll leave you alone. But if you don't, I'm all up in it. And so the kids, they say that. But what Megan's able to do and what our staff is able to do is have a lot of academic meetings, get a handle on every assignment that they have to do. So that process is very time consuming because Megan doesn't just have women's basketball. And again, my staff does a great job of monitoring that too. But it's hard. It's really hard.
And that's something you have to keep an eye on. But if you have that support right there, that's one challenge that you don't have to really be focused on, and you can focus on other things to make your program even better.
Yeah, Keith used to say it all the time. Keith Freeman, he used to say, your trainer is good for 3 to 5 games a year. Like, if you got a bad trainer, then it's going to be nearly impossible for you to be successful. So all the people that you all don't see, the ones that may not be in the cute sweatsuits for our breast cancer game, which, by the way, was an amazing event for recognizing in our shirts. The kids were able to put someone's name on the front of them that I play for, and they were able to name someone. And for those who didn't have anyone they played for specifically, they just put survivors on there. So it was a really neat experience for them. But you don't see those people. Well, they're the reasons why we're able to have those kids out there playing. They're taking care of all the other things outside of basketball to make sure that they can be focused for us for just a few hours a day.
When you talk about young people and all the challenges that they face, it's different. Even you haven't been that far removed, okay? When you played at Cincinnati, we talked the other day before practice and had a rather long discussion in regard, what it was like for you. Talk a little bit about what it was like growing up for you. Your mom and dad were a little tough on you, weren't they?
Oh, there's no question. I signed a contract for everything, for my car. And if I didn't do what they told me to do, my room wasn't clean, if I wasn't on honor roll, if I was too sick to go to practice, then I was too sick to drive. I couldn't do anything unless it was school and then home and taking care of whatever sport I was playing. I played 3 sports, so I was all year round. They didn't care. You still come home, you still get your work done, you still do all these things. And it didn't stop when I got to college. They took my car again and didn't give it back until I made Dean's List, and then I got my car. And then when I didn't make it, I just made just honor roll the next quarter. They took it back again. I'm telling you, they were something else. But I do appreciate, the way that they brought me up, and I tried to do the same thing in running our program, and that's why you always hear us say accountability and responsibility. It's not about being perfect and not making mistakes, but it is about when you do, there's consequences, and you have to acknowledge that, and hopefully it'll help you make better decisions later.
Well, you were able to adapt to that, but let's face it, you talk about human behavior, and you talk about kids at that age, especially, they can be rebellious. How are they going to be able to react to that? You were able to do that. How do you expect, sometimes they'll say, well, I'm going to do it the way I did because this is the way I was taught. How do you go about doing that yourself? Is that something you've learned as being an assistant coach and a head coach?
It is. Well, the one main thing you have to remember as an assistant coach is your job is to assist the head coach. So it didn't matter what I wanted or what I thought. All that mattered was I did everything I could to make sure the kids were able to participate and be ready to play for Mike, and that was the job. Now, as a head coach, it's a little different. whatever it is that's important to you, you want to make sure that you instill that in them. And we are in a very unique time. You know, we clearly have an all-female staff, and we've got, you know, these players, and trying to get them to have the balance of being a lady and being an athlete and making sure that you're independent, yet you don't want to be the angry woman. Like there's all these things that you have to balance.
Yeah.
And I jokingly talk about women's basketball players being the third gender, because we literally, we lift, we run, we bleed, we sweat, we do all this stuff, and then we're supposed to be pretty afterwards. You know, and it's a tough balance for a lot of people. And so we've got lessons on top of lessons and conversations on top of conversations about all sorts of stuff.
But it gets down to trust, okay?
It does.
You know, trust and accountability is something you talk about a lot. You know, winning obviously, you know, helps, but having a staff like you have also who have been through the wars like that obviously is very helpful to you.
Oh, thank goodness for them. I'm telling you, and I know a lot of people may look at the ratio of coaches in basketball and say, well, you've got all those people on the bench and you only have 15 players. Listen, we need everybody we have for those 15 players, because like you've brought up before, social media and those sorts of things, and basketball just gets so much attention. Like there's always somebody poking at them, always someone, you know, we've had every senior has been contacted by some sort of professional basketball agency. It can be an agent directly. So that's a distraction. You know, we're trying to sit here and win a championship, and they're getting phone calls and emails and direct messages on their social media about wanting to play overseas. You know, you name it, they've got it in terms of any kind of distraction. And we just really try to help them stay focused on what we're doing right here, right now, because I mean, it's the only time you get to do it. All
right, we'll be back in a moment, Coach. We'll be back with a final segment when we return. We got more to talk about here. Katrina Merriweather Show. We're live at Buffalo, I should say, right out here at Fly Boys in Beaver Creek. We're out here at the Mall of Fairfield Commons. Join us. We'll be back for the final segment when we return. This is Wright State University basketball.
What does it mean to be a pioneer, reaching your full potential? It means being bold. No, bigger than bold, monumental. Where would we be if we ceased at the first "you can't do that"? How would we advance if we stopped in our tracks every time we heard, "Hey you, move back"? We develop thick skin when opposition wishes we'd stay soft. Against resistance, our persistence will pay off. At Wright State, our goal remains central. We are the pioneers of potential.
Along with the head coach of the Wright State women's basketball team, we're back for about another 4 minutes right now at Fly Boys in Beaver Creek. Coach Nagy Show coming up next. We'll be talking Wright State men's basketball. But, Coach, let's talk about this real quick. We're going to have some highlights here in just a minute, but also your team has already clinched a first-round quarterfinal game at home. You'll be playing at home. You know that in the opening round of the Horizon League women's tournament. That's good to know right now. Talk a little bit about that and also the format change this year.
Well, instead of playing the first round in Detroit, now we get to host, and I think that's pretty exciting to be at home again. It'll make senior night just a little easier because we'll know that we'll get to play at least one more time in there. And then the following 11th and 12th, so we will either play on the 5th or 6th, and then the 11th and 12th will be the final games. We're obviously hoping to play in those games. You know, I think that we're excited about it for sure. We just haven't talked about it because we're all fighting these top 4 teams for seeding. And I think that's obviously really important. But we're excited to be going back to Detroit again. It's a really, really nice arena. And obviously that's going to change after this year where we're going to head to Indianapolis, which makes a lot of us Hoosiers really happy.
There you go.
I don't know if everybody's happy about it, but a lot of us are. So.
All right, well, let's get to some of the highlights. We've got a few minutes left from the Northern Kentucky game, and there were a lot of them here at the Nutter Center.
Yes, Emily Vogelpohl, she played really well. That's her getting the steal and attacking the rim in transition. Imani Parlow with an offensive rebound and a turnaround jump shot. She's got a great touch for a 5-player. Pushing in transition, Simone, who shot the ball extremely well today too, is ready to go. So that's a 3 for her in the corner. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Hitting that outside shot.
Yeah, and she absolutely can. This footwork right here, this is a play that we run, and in the past, Mikhail has traveled past and Mac has gotten it blocked, and we just executed it really well there for a 4-point play. She made that free throw too. And you got Mac again getting to the rim. And again, after you make a 3 like that, they got to guard you, so now you can drive it to the basket. ISO play for Mikhail, who has a great jump shot, and we're just telling her, just lay it in, just lay it in.
She's so smooth with the ball.
She is. She's
Yeah.
really talented. And then you got Angel passing it up to Emily, and then a give and go there. Angel finishing in the basket. Another transition three where Mac is trailing.
So they're so decisive right here. The entire game, they knew what they wanted to do. They were open. They shot it.
Absolutely. And there we are again in transition from Emily to Mac in the corner. And when her hands and feet are ready, she just she makes it so easy for us to score in transition. And that was Jaleese Beck that was driving it, who, again, has these sparks of being really, really aggressive. She's a really good athlete. Nija Harris, freshman there. Angel Baker passing it full court, and her laying it in.
Well, you've got a couple games left here coming up. The focus right now is Cleveland State. And then you have Youngstown State this coming weekend here at the Nutter Center. Got to get the Raiders out here to support your team.
Sounds great. One game at a time. Thank you, everybody who came out and showed up. We really appreciate it.
Spirit Unit will be here also. They remain here at Fly Boys as we transition into the Scott Nagy Show. We'll be talking Wright State men's basketball. Coach, good luck against the Vikings coming up. Best luck of the season. Get into the tournament. Let's take the Horizon League crown this year.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, stay with us. We'll be back after these messages with the Scott Nagy Show from Fly Boys in Beaver Creek. This is Wright State University basketball.